We get to edit these out too. And I think that we are on, and I hope this all sounds okay. We'll find out whenever we start.
Podcast time.
Nikki and Mallory, first podcast together. How about that?
Hopefully the last, but only because I hate hearing myself talk.
Everybody hates hearing you talk.
I know.
I'm kidding.
That's exactly why I was like...
That's all we do is talk. We've been friends for 11 years, and I've probably seen you in person, what do you think, 15 times?
Less
than 15 times? But how many hours have we talked on the phone?
A lot.
Lots of hours.
Because we talk.
Because we do talk, which is what we're doing right now. I hate everything.
And he hates everything I say.
She hates everything I say.
That's why we get along.
But we're still friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we love hate.
We do love hate. Very, very dark people. We probably need to talk to somebody, come to think about it.
Yeah, we should.
It wouldn't hurt to get a doctor involved in our lives.
No doctors.
No
I
doctors.
I don't want to be medicated and then on fucking antipsychotics or Seroquel or anything like that. None of that, please. Therapist.
Therapist. Sure. So you just want your natural evil to come out.
Mm-hmm.
What if you need an antipsychotic? You say some pretty psychotic shit sometimes.
Yeah.
You have lots of dead animals around your house, lots of taxidermy.
That's true.
You've always been addicted to very evil stuff. You wear colors now, which is very new. 11 years ago, you wore nothing but black and had black hair and had black lipstick and black eyeliner and black nail polish.
Yeah, I still wear all the black shit, but my hair's white.
Gotcha. So you're slowly coming out as a, what do you call it, a being of color, a creature of color. At one point, you said you had a yellow shirt.
Yes.
You sent me a picture of you in a yellow shirt, and I was shocked.
I literally had a yellow shirt that I wore 2 or 3 times. I think I have a yellow shirt still.
Gotcha.
It's
I have a yellow shirt now too.
It's got a Cobra Mustang on it.
A Cobra, the car?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
It's black.
Okay.
Shirt's yellow, car's black.
Great. Well, we did just finish our first boxing workout with her. We've been talking about doing that for how long?
Years?
Yeah, like 11.
Yeah.
Like since we met each other. Mm-hmm. She actually had my heavy bag, bought it from me, that I think I just actually took back.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just got set up in the garage and she threw hand pads for the first time, did fantastic. So we're hoping to keep that going. It feels good, doesn't it?
Yep. I can throw a jab.
You turn it over, and turn it over, and turn it over. Doesn't it make you feel like really accomplished afterwards?
Well, my arms hurt.
Yeah, which is good. They burn.
Yes.
Right, which is fantastic.
And my wrists feel heavy.
Yes.
But don't hurt.
They might. You didn't wear hand wraps. That was my bad. We didn't have hand wraps for her yet, but we'll wrap your hands next time.
I'm a tennis player. We have stiff wrists anyway.
You were a tennis player. You sound like me when I say that I'm a fighter. Like, yeah, I used to fight fucking 12 years ago.
What? I'm a tennis player.
When do you play tennis?
With my parents. I play tennis with my parents in Florida when I visit them.
How often do you go to Florida?
I don't know. You know what though? I just bought my parents, both of them, a fucking rebound wall. It's a 7 by 7 foot thing that you set up, and then you can hit tennis balls and it comes back perfectly to you so that they don't get old and fat and they stay in shape. And my dad is retired now and I don't want him being bored and going to my house all the time.
Makes a lot of sense.
Because that's what he's doing right now. He'll just show up, open the garage door because it used to be his house, and hi Mal, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, like whatever the fuck I want, walking around naked, go away.
I understand. So yeah, then him being old and fat on top of that. Nobody
He's not
wants
fat
him.
yet. I want to.
Right, you want to keep him from getting old and fat. I understand. Yes. I'm trying to get my parents in the same boat. My dad's hard. My dad's got a fake hip. I don't like. He's just had so much shit go wrong in the last 5 years. He's just not physically able to do stuff except for the walk. We got a 10K coming up in Death Valley, California, in February.
What?
Yeah, we did it a couple years ago, and then last year was canceled because of COVID. And so far, it's back on this year, but I'm not vaccinated. So if they pull some shit where I can't get on a plane before then, because I still have a couple months, then I might be fucked.
Aren't you like not supposed to get vaccinated? Because don't they not recommend it for people with infusions?
This is good. So let me tell you about that. When I went to my MS specialist, who's obviously, we're not going to name names, When I went, so I have multiple sclerosis, okay? I got diagnosed about 5 years ago. I went to see my multiple sclerosis specialist for my yearly checkup, my bi-yearly checkup, and he asked me if I was vaccinated, and I said no. And he said, "Can I ask you why?" And I was like, "No." And he goes, "Okay." And I was like, "Well, let me ask you this. What difference does it make?" And he said, "Well, I just want to let you know that the COVID vaccine has been very successful in people with multiple sclerosis." And so I asked him, "What does that mean? What do you mean it's been very successful with people with multiple sclerosis?" And he said that, well, people with MS who've gotten the vaccine, they haven't seen, I mean, whatever. They haven't had a huge number of COVID cases for whatever the fuck, just so like jibber jabber.
So anyone that's been vaccinated, because that's true forever, like you don't have as bad symptoms or go to the hospital.
Sure.
So he basically was just saying.
Right, but he specified it to MS patients. So I'm like, well, it was over a year, well over a year before a vaccine was available. So couldn't we have just not gotten it anyway? I mean, we're 2 years in. I just got it finally. It was about a month and a half ago. And long story short, got diagnosed, for lack of better words, tested positive, I should say, on a Tuesday. Because of my MS, it finally came in handy. I got a monoclonal antibody infusion the next day. 10 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock that night, I started feeling better. And that was basically it. The progression of it completely stopped. So for like a sinus infection, lasted about a week for that to go away, but nothing got any worse. So for me, that worked out perfectly. Now I feel confident because I have some immunity. Now I really don't want to get the vaccine. Might be mandatory here in the future. I'm not sure. And if that is the case, I have no idea what the hell I'm going to do. But I mean, you got it. You got the jab.
I did. I got.
How many?
I got Pfizer, both of them. But it's been a while, so I want to get boosted because my dad is old. He's like 77, and he's diabetic. So I'm like, if I get sick, I'll probably be fine, but I might not know if I'm sick and then give it to him. And even though he's boosted, some people are still getting sick even though they're boosted if they have like underlying conditions. So I'm like, well, just in case. Because I mean, I eat McDonald's and I'm really unhealthy anyway, and I get chemicals in my body all the time. Mm-hmm. So for me, it doesn't fucking bother me. I'm like, I lived on TV dinners that they probably put all sort of shit in, and that's why I have anxiety and depression now, and who knows what of all just the food I ate and school lunches. Who knows what they fucking did to us then.
Yeah, maybe that's why. Because raise your fucking hand if you have an anxiety or depression problem. Everybody's fucking hand goes up. I don't know that many people these days that aren't on some kind of antidepressant or anti-anxiety drug.
Or just like smoke weed.
Or just smoke weed.
Or drink.
Or drink.
Yeah.
Speaking of drinking.
Oh yeah.
Mallory's recovering from her hangover right now.
Yeah, I had to do this, otherwise I would have died.
Hair of the dog, baby.
Yeah, and otherwise I would not have been boxing either, because I would be throwing up or laying in bed or just sleeping already. Well,
check this out though. So I haven't had a drink since 4th of July. I've been stone sober since then because of the medication I'm on. We talked about this. I've just been nervous to drink. But picture you didn't get trashed last night and you woke up this morning and did a full-blown hour-long boxing workout.
I could be.
Tell me your day wouldn't have been better.
Yeah, I could have been like, felt proud of myself. Or like
exactly.
A human being or someone who is worth anything.
Accomplished. You feel accomplished, right?
Yeah,
accomplished. Yeah.
Not a lazy sack of assholes.
Right. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I miss drinking though. I want to. I would love to have a glass of wine right now, but like I said, took a Klonopin at 2 o'clock. I'm on some Balta. I'd probably be okay. Probably.
Or you could be blackout and then I could like post horrible videos of you and put you under hypnosis and embarrass the fuck out of you.
Or the worst part would be is if I started to get drunk and then I ended up having a panic attack because I realized that I was getting drunk, then I can't even take anything to make my panic attack go away. Like, I'm already drinking, I can't take another fucking...
Just drink more. Shots.
Oh, God.
At that point, just
dude,
like shots.
I seriously think I would die.
I don't
Like, it's been so long. I don't really mean die. It's been so long since I've drank excessive amounts of hard liquor. And can you imagine how, I mean, is your anxieties worse on hangover days, I assume?
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's because you're tired and dehydrated and you you destroyed your body the night before. But I miss it. I miss fucking drinking.
To be fair, though,
used to have a lot of fun.
We don't have anxiety. Technically, we have anxiety disorders, but we have panic. Anxiety is like thoughts that are intrusive all the time and thinking about it. We have like physiological responses that basically make us freak out, right? I mean, I'll throw up, you feel super dizzy and like you're
like
out
I'm gonna
of it,
shit my pants and pee at the same time.
Right, and like you're gonna die or something is gonna happen.
Yep.
And we have panic attacks, not like anxiety all the time. Because a lot of people have anxiety and they're just like, oh my gosh, did I turn the hairdryer off? I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
And, like,
or
worry,
OCD, checking things and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like they did something stupid and they're thinking about it a week later and like, holy shit, I wonder if that person hates me. That person must hate me.
Right.
God damn it, they hate me.
For sure. No, fair point.
And we're sitting there like, I might die right now.
Exactly.
Holy shit.
Comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. So
I was in the line at Best Buy tonight, and because I had to wait in the line and I no longer had an out, it didn't get me too bad because I've gotten better, but you better believe I was like, come on, please hurry up, please hurry up, please hurry up. I can't get out and I'm not going to walk out of the store because I've done that before. I've left grocery stores because I get so like dizzy, I feel like I'm going to pass out.
Yeah.
And it's right.
Panic. So same.
But what do you do? Because I've been on Prozac, I've been on Celexa, and that fucked with my sex life big time. I was seeing this girl who ended up going to the Air Force, and I felt so bad for her because at first I just wanted it constantly, and like my sex drive was through the roof. There was no
like get off me! Oh my god!
Basically, because there was no end to it, right? That was the issue. So every single time it was like 45 minutes in, and poor girl's just like throwing in the towel, and I'm like, fine, I'm throwing in the towel, So it started like that, and then it went to I had no sexual desire at all. So I got off the Celexa for that reason. And then I'm on Cymbalta now. That's been 3 or 4 months, and they switched me from Xanax to Klonopin, which I was stoked about. And
Xanax will make you just like black out if you drink.
Well, it's just...
So totally don't drink on that.
I never drank on it, but it's so short lasting because he had me on like 3 tablets a day.
What? And you never gave me any?
3 1-milligram tablets a day. I'm no drug dealer, internet. I'm no drug dealer.
Okay. I see what kind of friend you are. Okay.
Yeah. Well, plus I fucking needed them. And then it got to the point where they were wearing off faster than they normally even do wear off, which is already pretty fucking quick. And I was waking up in the middle of the night with panic attacks. And my doctor was so over me. He was just like, I don't know what else to do. I can't help you. You need to go see somebody to fix your brain or whatever,
Like a psychiatrist.
Right.
Like
but psychiatrist.
Like a specialist.
Sure. But my experience with him, because he's a doctor, he's not there to fix my problem or fix my brain. He is, what are your symptoms? Here's your pill.
Yeah.
Here's your medicine for it. I don't care about your childhood. Don't care about what you're going through. What is your body and mind feeling? All right, there's your pill for it, But I'm on Celexa now. Sex life has been nothing like... I'm sorry, I'm on Cymbalta now. I don't know. Sex life has been kind of lack of desire, which is incredibly, incredibly different for me, and it makes me feel like it's not myself. I don't know how well it's helping with the panic, but switching from the Xanax to the Klonopin definitely helped a lot. But my goal is to be on nothing at all. And I was good until that fucking homeless guy last week pulled a wallet onto me that ended up being a gun.
What?
Yeah, so I already made a video talking about it. Long story short, I didn't even catch him. I was doing grounds at my building, and I walked around the corner, and this homeless guy like panicked because I saw him probably, and we were within 5 feet of each other, and he reached out and tried to grab me, and I actually sidestepped, took my AirPod out, had my trash bucket in this hand, He pulls in his fucking coat pocket and pulls this small dark object out and says, quote, "I'm gonna fucking shoot you." And he's pointing this thing at me. So I back up. We have it on video, and the video's been on my Facebook too. So I back up immediately, and then my adrenaline took over, and he was like, "Drop what's in your hands." And I was like, "You're not gonna fucking shoot me, and I'm not dropping this. This is just an AirPod." And he was like, "Drop it." And I'm like, "I'm not dropping my fucking AirPod, and you're not gonna fucking shoot me." No idea why I said it. He ended up getting distracted by my coworker, and I made it back inside. He took off. Cops got him. Detective, you just saw my card in my bedroom, right? Detective got involved. I'm going to end up going to court over it, whatever. Ended up being a wallet, but I'll show you the video whenever we're done here. Looks like a fucking gun. And once he pulled that out, I was no longer looking at what was in his hand. I was making eye contact with him. You know what I mean? You don't think. That's what I'm saying. We don't have to start this conversation because we normally get into arguments about it, but about cops and shit like that. Split second decision. I guarantee you, if I had my gun on me, I would have drawn. That guy would be shot and dead. And so I would have killed an unarmed African-American homeless man. What do you think would happen to me? My head would be chopped. My head would be on a fucking spike going through downtown Indianapolis right now, and I would destroy half the country, even with the video, because another unarmed person in general was killed.
Okay, we won't argue.
But I would have done it, because fucking I thought he had a fucking gun. That's how they get shot by accident, how anybody gets shot by accident by police. You do this and you give them 2 seconds to decide. You don't have time to think. It is all instinct.
I mean, on the other end of that, though, you weren't armed, but you looked them in the eye, and an officer, I believe, is trained to look at what's in their hand.
Probably, yeah, fair point.
They're, who's to say? Maybe they look at the wallet and they're like, "Aw, come on, buddy."
Right. That's fair too.
You're just probably need some antipsychotics yourself if you're milling around a building, and
for sure.
So it might be the other way. Like, luckily or unluckily, the way you look at it, police officers are trained in a certain way. So it's like,
I agree.
We go off instinct. They're trained to have instincts, but it's like, when does that take over? When does humanness start, and when does training end? And I think it gets super messy.
I don't think they have enough of it either. Like, enough training. Like, they get sent, like, 2 weeks a year or something for more training. Yeah. I think that if they work a 40-hour shift, at least 10 hours of that per week should be for nothing but training. And because, like I said, people know what it's like to be a person. Cops know what it's like to be a person. People don't know what it's like to be a cop.
Right.
You've done ride-alongs. I've done ride-alongs. It's scary as fuck when my best friend goes up for a routine traffic stop, because it's scary, because I've watched plenty of videos. You can find them on fucking wherever those gore sites are, possibly on YouTube, where cops just walk up to a car and before a word is said, boom, 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 out the window, cop shot. It happens. And then you see it the other way around. What's her face just got the lady cop who just shot that guy in the car. She just got found guilty. Was it today or yesterday, something like that?
Freaked out.
Yeah.
It was like
insane. Because she knew she fucked up.
Yeah.
Because you have to be used to that adrenaline surge.
Well, I think that's what's wrong with all of that profession, is that it's not healthy to be on a 10 all the time. It's not healthy to see all that shit all the time, just like any first responder. Like, they have super high rates of PTSD.
Yes.
So you only have so many years before that PTSD can be triggered, and then someone pulls a wallet out, and I agree with you, someone pulls a wallet out, and if you have seen this 20 times and been in a dangerous situation, if you have PTSD from that experience, you might shoot that person. And I totally get that. I think that I'm in school right now to be a social worker. So I'm getting my master's. And I think
master's.
Attempting. I think that it would be a lot better to have most situations responded to with, like, a social worker or someone who can talk to you, rather than, like, if it's a violent situation, then I probably do want someone who has an equal amount of force to be there.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a situation where we don't know, or where someone's, like, acting real weird and having an episode, or, like, you know that they're intoxicated, or you know that they have mental health issues, or they're homeless, or whatever. 311, which no one knows about. 311 is like
what is 311?
311 is a non-emergency line, and for situations that are not like an emergency, like we need an ambulance, we need a police officer because my neighbor is getting the shit beat out of her, and we need to have immediate intervention. You know, if there's a person screaming at another person and they're both homeless and intoxicated, it might be better off to have like a neutral person in regular clothes, nice, that knows how to deal with people with like mental illness or substance use, just like talk to them. Because I've seen interactions where people are really upset, and any uniform, like ambulance uniform, any kind of uniform, like makes it worse. So I think in situations that are not immediate harm or possible death, 311.
So how do you know though? Like, so what if there's two guys fighting? Let's say there are two, clearly these are mentally ill. You know, I work in Fountain Square. I call 311, hey, there's two homeless guys across the street. They're peeing on each other and yelling at each other or whatever. You know, I need a social worker down here to calm it down. Social worker shows up. What if they pull something on her? They could have dirty needles, not her or him. The dirty needles, dirty knives. I mean, you don't know what they have on them. So, like, you want backup there, though, right? Or is a social worker concealed carried so that they're protected, but they're not...
I would say...
And they're not rolling up with a taser and a gun visible and a badge and all that, but if they need it, it's there.
It's easy to de-escalate a situation just with your presence and with your body language, your tone of voice, accepting the people, saying, I totally understand. I see how upset you are. I get it. It would be a worse situation if you're really upset right now and then you get hurt. It'd be a worse situation if you were to get arrested. Let's not do that right now.
How well do you think that works when you talk to the mentally ill? And the reason that I say that is because when I was backing away from this guy, my coworker popped his head out the door and was basically distracted him long enough for me to get inside. And this homeless guy starts yelling at him saying, hey, this isn't your fight. This isn't your fight. And then he goes, your boss did this. Your boss injected something into my neck. That's what he was. So, like, he was so far gone. And I didn't say a word to him. He was trying to jimmy a fucking car door open, and I just happened to turn the corner, and he was right there.
In that situation, I would
call the cops.
Well, no, actually.
No, okay.
I would because is anyone at risk of immediate harm?
Of course.
I'm pretty sure that
he could have attacked either of us.
What
if he would have gotten a hold of me?
What were the indicators that he was going to attack you?
First, that he lunged at me and tried to grab me, and then second, that he pulled what I thought was a weapon on me and told me he was going to fucking shoot me. There's two right there.
With a wallet.
With a wallet, with what ended up being a wallet. Like I said, I'll show you the video, and at first glance, you better believe, and then when you're in the situation...
I know it's...
I want a lot of people to be put in this situation so they understand more of what it's like. The biggest case that bothers me is, it's so sad because the kid was, 12, I think, but Tamir Rice, the one who had the toy gun.
Yeah.
I saw so many people post, and like, the kid's 12.
Yeah.
That's sad as fuck. But so many people posted anti-police stuff saying that they word it this way. There's a chick on Facebook, I got into it about with that. She said, quote, like, I guess I shouldn't say quote, I'm paraphrasing. Tamir Rice was killed for playing with a toy gun. And so I had a comment on there. And I said, he was not killed for playing with a toy gun. That's not the reason he was killed. He was killed because he took the orange rubber tip off, so it looked like a real gun. All this is on video, by the way.
I've seen it.
Takes the rubber clip off. He's pointing it at people. It looks like a real gun. Pointing it at people on the sidewalks. The police were called on him. And then whenever they roll up and they know this kid's got a gun on him, because everybody's like, yeah, he's got a gun. He's pointing it at us. They roll up and he stands up and reaches in his pants and gets shot. Not to mention this poor kid just happened to, victim of circumstance, happened to look, he didn't look 12. You know what I mean? Older. He was a big dude. But that's a situation where people say, hey, fuck 12, fuck the police. They killed a 12-year-old black kid because he was playing with a toy gun. Not what happened. That's not what happened. And that's not why they killed him.
I think that in that situation, you have to look at observation. Mm-hmm. There are differences between a real gun and a fake gun. Now, maybe they were too far away to see that. That's probably a good thing. So,
or maybe they could have stayed further away at first rather than roll right up.
Right. Say someone is called because of the concern and stays far enough back that they're not going to be hurt and says, hey, what's wrong? Are you okay? I'm pretty sure a 12-year-old's going to be like, yeah, I'm fine. They'll be like, well, we heard that you are pointing a gun at people. Do you have a gun? And he's probably going to be like, yes, it's fake. I'm so sorry. I was just dicking around.
But
put it on the ground.
But if you didn't know the kid was 12, and so this is what the dispatcher knows. He gets the call. Or, no, I'm sorry, all the police officer knows, right? Dispatcher calls. 911 call. There's a gentleman. I doubt they didn't know who he was. They didn't say kid. There's a person that's pointing a gun at people on the sidewalk. These people are calling this in. That's all they know, is that there's a dude that has what looks like a fucking rifle and he's pointing it at people. That's all that they know until they get there. And then when they get there, the kid fucking springs up and starts reaching in his pants. And you can see all of this on the video. But so it's like, would you have the balls to, like, if you got that call that somebody's pointing, and now this is air quote because it wasn't real, but as far as everybody else is concerned, it is. I mistook a wallet for a pistol. This actually looks like it's designed to look like a real gun. If they're like, hey, Mallory, can you go over to this park? This guy's shooting area. This guy's pointing a rifle at people. Can you go talk to him? Wouldn't you be like, maybe we should call the cops for that? Because what if he shoots me?
And if the police are called, I think that the police should have a response that's appropriate. Like, I work with people who have shot people. I work with people and have worked with people in the past who have been to prison for murder, or have shot people and they themselves have been shot. And human beings are very reactionary. So if someone rolls in, speeds in with a car, guns blazing,
I see where you're going.
Called guns blazing. Or if you roll up and survey the situation and, like, zone in and see what's happening, it's probably going to be easier to ask the person to put a gun down than to shoot and kill them.
Sure.
Like, I think that there's because of all the shit that happens and the trauma that police officers do see and undergo, they're on a 10 all the time. That's not healthy. If you go in thinking that, maybe this isn't going to be a terrible situation, maybe this is something we can prevent instead of just respond to, then it would be a little bit better, like, reaction from the person that is possibly 12 years old with a fake gun, right?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Like, slow roll, because also, if you slow roll in and do it calmly, you're probably going to be less of a target. If you go in super fast and scare somebody that's already upset and might already be pointing a gun at someone and want to shoot them, then they're probably going to freak out. I would freak out. If the police rolled up and I already am upset and want to shoot somebody, I'm shooting them.
Right.
So it's kind of
like... That's a very, very, very fair thought.
Yeah, it's kind of like, can we reassess the way policing works?
So that would be where training more on the de-escalation.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly when you can.
Or even like keep your distance.
Right.
Like they teach
Start
us,
calm rather than come in, like you said, at a 10.
Right. I go in all the places that police officers go.
Uh-huh.
I deal with all the same people that police officers deal with. And I've never had anybody attack me.
Mm-hmm.
They could. I've had people be armed. I've had people get in fights right in front of me where I tell them if they don't stop, I'm going to call the police.
Mm-hmm.
And just being able to ask a question the exact same way over and over usually gets people to calm down. So if someone is screaming at someone, I need you to lower your voice. I need you to lower your voice. I need you to lower your voice. Like, same at all times.
Sure.
If someone meets you here, there's the tendency to go above that.
Sure.
So it's like if
that makes a
people
lot of
are
sense.
freaking out,
Right.
try to make them freak out less.
Right.
Because even like me driving down the road, if a police officer gets up behind me and then they come up really fast, I'm going to be freaked out.
Sure. Exactly. And they pull you over and you're like, why are you so nervous right now? And you're like, because I don't get pulled over every day. This doesn't happen to me every day.
Right.
You know what I mean?
This is fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, why are you doing this?
Sure.
If someone slows up behind you, gives you a chance to like slow down or whatever the fuck you were doing, that was stupid probably.
Right.
Then there we go.
Right.
We've prevented it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need a ticket. We prevented the thing because you slowly came up and reminded that, hey, there's these rules that you have to do to keep everybody safe.
Sure. Oh, that's a super fair point, and I never thought about it that way either. Because I just think that a lot of times these cops' mindsets, and now you got to admit, ever since 2015, if the cops weren't on edge before, they're all on edge now. They are constant targets right now. You know what I mean? So they have way more anxiety now, I think, than they did in the past. And that's been ever since everything went down in 2015. Hands up, don't shoot, which was based on a fucking lie, but doesn't matter. That's what started the whole fucking ordeal, the whole anti-police, this, that, and the other. And they've been targets essentially since then.
Well, I mean, really, society in general should be anti-police. In my opinion, I think that everybody would feel more comfortable if people could just, like, not hurt each other. So
right, but that's impossible.
If there were better situations in general, or better emotional health, better mental health, better, like, emotional regulation, so, like, anger, so, like, teaching boys it's okay to cry and be angry, but it's not okay to hit each other. Like,
that's gotta be so hard to correct, though. That goes to parenthood, and
it totally does.
That would take decades to correct.
That's what the problem is that it's like, oh my gosh, there's this horrible, daunting problem. It's going to take decades, but it's like, okay, so start now.
That's the problem. That's the problem with people, though, is people don't put forth the effort, or people grow up in a home that either doesn't have a mother or a father. Then you have your kids that grow up in foster care. I mean, there's so many situations where they're
I think,
like, maybe over the course of, like, I mean, probably more like a century, all that stuff can be.
Or we could call 311 and have a trained professional that knows. And a lot of social workers will already know. Like, there are clients that I have right now that the police all know them. Because it's a regular thing that something is happening and they're creating a ruckus or a problem.
But isn't that sorry to cut you off, but isn't that a thing, though? Like, the detective I talked to told me to vote for whoever you got to vote for. We need stronger prosecutors in there because they are so soft on these people. Why are these people being let out of jail where so often that a cop knows them? All right, this is my 15th visit with you in 2 years. Why are you out of jail? You are not rehabbed yet. Why do you keep getting fucking probation rather than spending some serious time in jail?
So, the whole jail thing Other than people who touch children and rape people and hurt other people and kill them, jail is just trash. It doesn't prevent anything. It doesn't help anything. It is a 3 hots and a cot little box where someone with mental health issues can sit and not be seen and not cause problems.
Right.
But it doesn't do shit. So as soon as somebody who cops know or whatever gets out and they don't have anywhere to go to get medication, or they don't have anywhere to go for a home or to sleep at night, all of those things kind of compound. Of course the police are going to see them if they're homeless. They're going to be walking around. They're going to be probably trying to steal stuff because they're hungry, or they are probably going to drink or use drugs because they want the voices to stop because it bothers them so much. And it's like 3 months out right now to see a psychiatrist to even get meds. So it's like the whole mental health piece and the whole substance use piece, it's a problem.
I still think it all comes down to, I mean, I agree with what you say 100%, but it still all comes down to people because it's up to that person to take the medication.
But
they don't have, I mean, they don't, if they don't want to take it, they don't fucking take it.
Here's the thing with disorders like psychosis.
Bipolar. Okay, fine. Psychosis.
So
let's go with that.
And bipolar. So bipolar is, it can have psychotic features. So a manic episode can create psychosis, and it makes you literally feel like you are someone else, or you can take over the world. So like ideas of grandeur is like one of the symptoms, right?
All right.
So people with psychosis that this, like the man said someone injected him in the neck with something.
Yes, that our boss did.
Yeah, I hear that stuff all the time. Like my clients have that happen. I have a client that her shoulder hurts all the time because she pushed a demon out of her body that was talking to her every day, and it was scratching at her insides. So she clenched all her muscles and she got it out, but now her shoulder hurts.
Oh my God.
So like, try telling a person that is in that state of mind, if you take this you'll feel better. They're probably going to be like, oh, the same person that injected me in the neck with the poisonous things that are mold growing in my brain now, I'm not going to take that, because they think it's real. Like, all of the things that people say that sound crazy to people in society, whatever, normal people, which I never refer to anyone as crazy, but when we hear things that are like so abnormal, then it's like, but they think it's real. Like, they are literally experiencing that as their reality. So
that makes sense.
The guy who pulled out the wallet on you probably thought he had a gun in his hand.
Right.
Literally, in his head, he is pointing a gun at you because your boss injected him in the neck, and he really thinks that happened. So it's like,
so to make sure he takes it, then
we can't.
Well, I mean, then they need held in some way or another, at least for X amount of time. Because if that guy comes back out in the streets, he's going to hurt somebody. I mean, what if it was you? You're 5 foot tall.
So a lot.
You know what I mean? You're a badass boxer now after a night. What if he would have grabbed my sister? What if he would have grabbed me and I just wasn't paying attention? What if he actually had a gun on him? That's, I think, where people get to, like I said, where I get to the point where I'm not trying to sound mean. I'm not trying to sound like I'm not sympathetic or empathetic or whatever. I don't mean to sound so terrible, but if it comes down to whether I go home or not, your mental illness is not a concern of mine. If it comes down to, okay, I'm going to go ahead and die because you have a mental illness,
so
I can't do. And a lot of cops, I think, are in that spot. My best friend up north is a cop, and he just had a beautiful baby boy, and he wants to go home to his kid. So if he's dealing with, what if it was dark out? If my buddy got that call, and that was at 8:30 in the morning this happened, right? If my buddy rolled up, got that call, and he pulled that wallet out, nobody's going to try to talk him down. My dude's got a baby. He's got a wife. He wants to go home to his kid. He's like, okay, clearly this guy is crazy. I can tell because whenever I drove up, he's walking around talking to himself, but it looks like he's carrying a gun. Whatever. I'm going home to my kid. Fuck your mental illness. I'm sorry. Like, I sincerely wish and hope that you could get all the help that you needed. But like I said, if it comes down to you or me, I'm going home. You're not.
Most people don't understand mental illness.
Sure, probably people like me.
Right.
So
no offense at all.
No, I get it.
Most people who are in states like that, they do not normally hurt people. They're a harm to themselves sometimes.
Is it worth the chance? Is my question.
Well, you have to look at it this way too. Is
99.9% of the time it's not going to happen, but that 1.1% of the time, if it does. Then boom, my sister got killed walking out of fucking the bar downtown that she works at. I got killed picking up garbage.
Most people that are victims of homicide are killed by acquaintances and killed by people they know. Mm-hmm. It's really, really rare that someone with
random
psychotic disorder, if they're homeless, they probably are not going to have any access whatsoever to a gun.
Sure.
A lot of murders that happen in the homeless communities happen by beating, stabbing. By each other. They know each other.
Yeah.
It's over resources. It's over
that
shelter,
turf,
blanket,
and this is my corner
food,
that I get my stuff from. Yep.
Right. So it's pretty rare that someone has a reaction like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can nail down what's going on pretty quickly, I would be able to talk to that person. I would be able to talk to that guy and figure out what was going on and say, oh my gosh, I totally believe you that you got injected in your neck by someone. Let's go talk to someone about that.
I got you.
Let's go.
I got you.
Let's talk to somebody about that.
Yep.
I'm really concerned about your neck right now. Why don't we go to a doctor or a hospital and have it checked out? What do you think happened? Who did it? I'll walk you through it. But right now, let's go have it checked out.
Mm-hmm.
There are just certain things you can do that not a lot of people understand, because of course what we go to immediately is this is a threat, and human beings are wired.
Fight or flight.
Right, you're wired.
Simple as that.
What am I going to do?
Right.
Reactionary. Humans are reactionary. We are predators, but we were also prey for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So what does a rabbit do when something scares it? It runs away or it freezes.
Right.
But that's what people do. And if you understand what is happening with someone that has mental illness, I have a little bit better understanding of, then I'm not scared. If someone pulled something out and I see that they look to be having kind of a mental episode, then I'm usually not going to assume it's a gun. Most people that are in that situation probably don't even really have access to knives. Or they're probably in the hospital already because someone has called them in. Or they have gone to the hospital themselves.
Right.
But, I just think the reaction and knowing. I walked into a house once where there was a domestic dispute. Those are the ones that are dangerous to me. If there are people that are in a house and they're capable of hurting each other, that would be a situation where I would feel unsafe. Because when there's really high emotions going and there's really intensity, a relationship, that's where I'm okay, I might want the police here because this person might kill them. Or this person might know that I'm here and be really upset that there's a social worker here and we have this intense abusive relationship and now a social worker's involved.
It's like people who get really mad when they get an intervention, right? Their family's called and they walk in and they get pissed and blast out of the room.
Right. Yeah. Those situations would be something that I'd be okay, this might be dangerous. Someone that's talking to themselves and thinks that they've been injected, I'm okay. I gotcha.
That makes sense.
Now, domestics.
To be fair, by the time he was saying that he was getting injected, that he had gotten injected to the neck.
He already pulled his wallet on you.
For sure. That's the only reason I didn't clock him. Just like how we were practicing sidestepping out there, I was sidestepped ready to fucking clock him as soon as he reached out and tried to grab me.
Well, here's the thing, too.
And that's when he pulled it. By the time he was talking about the neck injection, I was already back by our next closest entrance door where I could use a key fob to get in and he wouldn't be able to follow me.
I totally support people defending themselves. I got robbed and hit in the face a couple years ago and beat the shit out of that person.
You told me about that.
Ran away.
Didn't you like curb stop him or some crazy shit like that?
You know, it happened very quickly, so whatever I did...
Why didn't you question him? Why didn't you say, hey man, are you just having a bad... Do you really want to rob me?
Absolutely not, because they ran up and hurt me. So there's
All right, fair enough.
Any use of force like that, I understand human nature taking over.
Sure.
Because I'm a small person, and I'm not a strong person, really. So someone running up on me and hitting me in the face and trying to steal my stuff, and me reacting and actually, beating the fucking shit out of them.
I remember.
That was, I don't know if I'd ever do it again. Who knows? Who knows
right.
how I would react? But that's what happened right then. I totally support if people get attacked to defend themselves. Now...
So you're speaking more of like if you're seeing stuff from afar, then you'd be careful how to approach.
If I have the ability to avoid a situation, then I'm gonna avoid it.
Sure.
So if you're walking around a building and this guy grabs you, then
do what you got to do.
I'm not gonna tell you run away. Like, yeah, if someone grabbed you, I might have hit them. And that's what it is.
But if you saw him from a distance, it's like, okay, I'm going to turn around and walk the other way. How about that? You know what I mean?
Probably. Right. If I see someone...
I turned to the corner and he was there.
Right, and he was there. So it's like, that shit happens.
Right.
Did you hit him, or, did he touch you in any way or whatever? That would be like my difference point. So if there's like a person who's actively trying to hurt me... Sure. Then I might hit them back.
Sure, sure. So defend yourself when necessary, de-escalate, as much as possible, but when it comes down to crunch time, if you got to crunch, you crunch. Right. You know what I mean? When it's time to get rough, but until then, do everything you can to not.
So, old boy who pointed his wallet, right? And so you called the police. So say... Instead of the police, everyone knew that there were social workers or psychologists or something that know how to deal with people that probably need to be in a hospital or something like that. If we knew to do that instead, and they're going to come over and be like, hey, you threatened this guy with a gun? Do you have a gun? And he pulls out the wallet and says, I'm going to shoot you. And it's a wallet.
See, but what if it was a gun? And they're like, hey, do you have a gun? And he was, right, but I'm saying, what if we didn't know. So what if they send a social worker, like, hey, buddy, do you got a gun? He's like, yeah, fuck you, boom. And fucking shoots him. Then this poor social worker died.
So here in the situation, though, you recognized after... that it was a wallet and that he was having some things that were wrong.
Sure.
Right?
Yes.
So after that, if you already know that he doesn't have a gun, he's a wallet and he's having some problems. So calling a non-emergency to be like, hey, can someone come talk to this guy? He's on one right now.
What would a non-emergency do? Because cops do get called on them a lot. Like one of them was smashing up property directly across from my building. They had those scooters, the fucking, what scooters I'm talking about, the bird scooters or whatever. And he was just beating the fuck out of the thing. And the cops got called on him. Dude, they rolled up on him. They talked to him. Him and one other guy were doing it. They talked to them for 30 seconds and just let them go. They just walk away. And I'm like, all right, so now they're going to walk down the street and fuck something else up. Or they're going to do something. They hang around, like the gas station, which is close to where I work, it's like fucking Breaking Bad in there at nighttime. You know what I mean? It is straight up meth heads in there screaming at each other about who gets to use the fucking fountain first. Then you walk out and they ask you for stuff and you say no, and sometimes they're cool about it, and sometimes they're like, fuck you, blah, 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 and all this shit. And it's just incredibly, incredibly uncomfortable to be around. And like, I want you to go somewhere and get help, but I can't force you to go. Apparently the cops can't force you to go. Nobody can force you to do anything unless you commit some kind of a crime where you can be detained and you can be evaluated. Because if you don't commit a crime, what can they do? You're a fucking adult.
Well, and that's why our whole system is all fucked up, because there used to be places where people could go to get treatment all the time, like hospitals and
but don't
centers.
they don't want? Didn't we just talk about how they don't want it though, or in their mind they don't believe that they need it,
right? Their
or
reality is
or
their
whatever.
Reality, right.
I mean, there's homeless shelters they can go to. We kick homeless people out of our buildings all the time in the wintertime because it's freezing, but you can go to an open shelter. You're choosing not to because you can't bring your drugs.
Well, and
that's why. So you would rather sleep outside. You'd rather break in, trespass into my building, and be around my people. You'd rather break the law and do that to curl up in a ball and sleep so you can have your heroin, but you can get at least a cot or something soft to lay on and some food or some shit for free. You just choose not to do it because you want the drugs instead.
So here's the thing about the drugs, though, is that a lot of people, most people that use drugs all the time, if they're in that situation where they're homeless, then they have to use the drug to not feel like they're dying.
Sure, go through withdrawal.
Right. So it's like if you're in substance dependence and you can have a warm place to sleep, but you're going to be shitting yourself and throwing up and sweating all night to lay there.
But you can go to the ER. This is America. We cannot turn people away. It is illegal to be turned away from the ER.
The problem with the ER is that they will turn them away. They'll say, what's your vitals are fine. What's happening?
But their vitals probably aren't. If they're on the drug, then they're probably not. If they're going through withdrawal, they're probably not.
If they're going through withdrawal, they'll do COWS, which is it's an acronym for, it's like a withdrawal scale, basically. Okay. And a lot of the time, the treatment for that is not great. And substance use is kind of looked down on by the nurses, and they don't want them there. And it's easier for a person to say, well, since I'm still miserable and in pain and feel sick enough that I want to die, and you don't want to help me, and you don't want to help me feel comfortable, then I am going to fucking leave and go use, because now I'm embarrassed and I feel like shit.
Do you think they try, though? How often do you think they try as opposed to not trying?
Well, it depends.
I mean, but hopefully, per the American way, hopefully if they go into an ER,
oh, no.
And they tell them, hey, this is the deal, call whoever you need to call, you know what I mean? You can't turn me away, take my volume, because something's going to be wrong, you know what I mean?
Not always,
or they can,
it brings people to
okay, so question. So if somebody has a level enough state of mind to say, hey, I'm out of drugs, I want to get off the drugs, I'm homeless, I have no money, I have no insurance, I have no job, I tried going to the hospital, they won't let me. Who can they call to say, hey, this is what I need?
Yeah, that's the conundrum.
I'm addicted to drugs. See, because then you have your sympathetic people, and then you have your people that aren't. Who are the people they can call who are
everything is
sympathetic?
Driven by money.
Sure. Well, yeah,
so if you
for
don't
sure.
have health insurance, the hospital, they are going to kick your ass out as quick as they can.
After you're treated. So if you walk in there and there's something wrong with your vitals,
they will give you the bare minimum of treatment.
Yes.
Because they're going to eat that cost.
Sure.
And I have been there with clients, and they are not sympathetic whatsoever to people that are using.
Sure, because they're like, fuck you, you chose to do it, blah, blah, blah. Right. You know, but that's not right either. You know what I mean? They were doing that with fucking, they took it off now because they were about to get some major lawsuits, but this gigantic group of doctors was on the internet because they were doing like a not a strike, but they were out in the parking lot, whatever, because they were sick of treating unvaccinated people for COVID. And they were getting the point across, trying to get towards like, why should we help you if you're unvaccinated? You have the choice to get vaxxed. You're not getting vaxxed. We can find that video, right? That was a real thing. They interviewed, of course, the hottest nurse they had that there. But then they took that shit down because, like, do you say that to a gun? If a gangster comes in with a gunshot wound, do you go, hey, man, you're in a gang. You were shooting at him, too. You did this to yourself. We're not going to treat you. That's the exact same thing as saying, hey, man, you got COVID? Sorry, dude, you're not vaxxed. You had the choice to get vaxxed. You could tell somebody, hey, you had the choice to not pull your gun on somebody. Sorry you got shot. You know what I mean? So totally hospitals should never have a choice like that. If anybody walks in, they should be able to get
humans,
treatment.
Right? They're people.
Yes.
They have all their own opinions. They
exactly.
get super burnout. They work long hours.
Sure, of course.
And you know what?
That's what rules are for.
People that are using drugs, they're not the nicest people.
Right. They're very unpleasant to hard people to like.
They might be.
Yeah.
And they are probably uncomfortable and miserable and feel like shit.
Right.
And I'm not a nice person when I feel like that either.
You're not a nice person most of the time.
That's true.
But yeah, but that's for that's why rules. That's why we have rules though.
But we're not robots.
If we didn't, right? That's true. But this is why there's a handbook. This is why there's a rule book, because without rules, chaos happens. That's happening in Portland right now. That happens in Seattle with a Chaz Chop thing that came on. With no rules, you get chaos. They let that whole 6-block section be blocked off by the Chaz. You know what I'm talking about. You don't know what I'm talking about? How does nobody know this? It was so all over the news. Summer of Love in Seattle. The Antifa group started. They took over 6 blocks of downtown Seattle, Washington, right after the George Floyd riots.
Like conspiracy
and all that stuff.
Anytime anyone says anything, like,
this was no conspiracy.
Antifa, I'm like, oh god.
This was no. I wish I had my computer in front of me. This was no conspiracy. We'll Google it as soon as this video is done, which should wrap up soon anyway. But anyway, a group of people. Let's say that a group of people took over a 6-block area of downtown Seattle. My brother lives there. And they started calling it CHOP, and they switched it to Chaz or one or the other. I forget. The very, very, very... So these are the people that are... We don't want border walls. We don't want police. Defund the police. They're the ones that concreted the doors to the police precinct shut and tried to set it on fire with police officers inside. We'll find that as well, because that is well documented. I'm not making this shit up.
No, I remember this. Like,
yeah, pretty fun. So
I don't remember like the name of it.
It was either Chaz or Chop, and then the mayor called it the Summer of Love, and it wasn't going to be violent. So these are the people that are anti-establishment, no borders, no police, none of that stuff. Which is, I mean, it's the definition of fascism is what they're trying to do by being anti-fascist. The very first thing that they did was put up border walls and controlled who came in and came out. You had to be ID'd, and they had to...
6 blocks, though. That's a lot different. I don't know if I agree with the fascism comment, but we don't have time for that one.
We don't have time for that. We'll do that for the next one.
Yeah.
But wait, let me finish this before you make your point. So 6-block radius capped off. The very first thing they did was put up border walls, which is everything they're against. They're against borders, right? They don't want borders. They put up border walls and monitored who came in and came out. Then they had armed people inside who were literally their police force inside. During the time that this place was open and all that stuff, this is after the George Floyd riots, right? 2 people died in there. I believe both of them were black and one of them was like 17, and both of them were shot and killed. So that's like when you let the people who want, like I said, no borders, defund the police, abolish the police, all that shit, they got control for a couple of weeks. 2 black kids died, border walls went up, and they literally had their own armed police force inside.
Well, I think there's
How crazy is that?
Huge difference between no borders as a concept and bordering up or whatever, having a border of 6 blocks.
They were dictating who was allowed to come in and who wasn't, which is what we are trying to do in the United States as a country, that people are like, no, we shouldn't do that. It's the exact same thing. What's different?
It's different in a 6-block thing.
Okay.
So
if the United States was smaller, it'd be okay.
To make a point about what their protest was about, right? That's like way different than the huge macro concept of having the United States be a borderless entity. Does that make sense?
No.
Like this was like we're going to border off this little space so we can protest and talk about what we want to do. It's like a lot different than... It's a really big concept, and there's a lot that goes into borders and countries.
They were living in there. There was tents and all that shit. So picture it as a mini fucking...
Occupy Wall Street, kind of.
It's like a mini fucking country, and they're like, hey, we dictate who comes in. They have armed people there. We dictate who's allowed in, who's allowed out. That's what they get mad about. They don't like the police. They had fucking... For sure.
I will have to research it.
Absolutely.
Make any kind of comment about it.
For sure.
But
most people probably don't. But yes, it was all over the news. The mayor called the Summer of Love, and then she finally shut it down when the 2 people were shot and killed inside there by their own people.
Yeah, that's...
So research all this stuff.
And also, in any situation where there is power dynamic and people trying to live in a new situation and tensions are high, then shit's gonna go down. Yeah. Like, I have no doubt about that. I don't care if it's super right wing, super left wing, moderates, whatever they're preaching. Something is probably gonna go down if there are people that are armed, if tensions are high, and if it's a new novel situation where people don't know what the order is.
Is that why you need people such as police to stop that stuff from happening?
I would rather...
Let's get a social worker.
In my opinion, it would be nice to have, a social worker, like someone that doesn't make me feel like I'm doing something wrong.
But you are doing something wrong.
Or like the way to get people that are doing bad shit to stop doing the bad shit is like calmly talk them out of it. If you rush up on a kid that's doing something bad, they're probably gonna...
Right, for sure. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, no, we covered that. You make sense.
Getting people to like do what you want them to do has a lot of positive manipulation.
Sure.
What we call motivational interviewing.
I like that. Then you have bitter old fucks like me who are like, you're the one doing fucking stupid. Go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? If you didn't want this to happen, you shouldn't have fucking done it. I do illegal shit sometimes. If I got busted for anything, you better believe, all right, okay, here's the rest of it. Sorry. I got caught. Hands behind my back. You know what I mean? Simple as that. Like, if you get busted, you get busted.
See, and I think the shitty part about that is that if you're not harming another person in that moment, I don't give a fuck. Smoke weed all day. Smoke crack if you want to. If you're not hurting anybody else and you're not stealing or you're not,
But one leads to one leads to the other.
But if you're not hurting somebody else, then I don't want you to have to go to court and have to pay a bunch of money and go to jail and do whatever because you broke the law, right? Because you have this rule. So like drugs and all that, I could give a fuck less about. Most people use drugs to fix a different problem. So I'm like, okay, what if we
But then they run out of
problem?
But then they run out of drugs, then they can hurt or attempt to hurt people because they need money for their drugs.
Right, and
it's a domino effect.
Else, right,
or you get so drugged out that I walked past a dude some dude walked past me a couple months ago. I'm driving down the street downtown Indy, and he just starts jumping up in the air, reaching for something that wasn't there, and he's like screaming at the sky and trying to grab something. That dude's either severely mentally ill or he's on some kind of bath salt or some kind of insane drug like that.
The same.
Right, exactly. And it's all dangerous. It's a big circular, a big revolving door.
What about him leaping up into the sky trying to grab something is dangerous? It's annoying.
Because that's what he's doing right there at the moment. It's incredibly uncomfortable. And that's what he's doing right then and there. Whenever I'm walking down the street with my ex, who's smoking hot and wearing a tank top and all that shit, and we got our little dog and all that stuff, and she's dressed all nice, we did that all the fucking time. And you can ask her, I mean, the dudes who walk at us, like, like your head's constantly on a swivel. Because it's like, I swear to God, like, if you didn't know that I notice you right now, I think some weird shit will go down. There's like streets we have to avoid and stuff like that. And that's very, very sad.
Well, you don't have to tell me that. I just moved from them and got robbed and beat up there.
Every night you pulled home, I was on the phone with you, and every time you would pull up, there's cop cars 2 blocks down from you.
Every time.
See, it's like, just stop, man. Just stop fucking. It's not as simple as that, so I'm not saying that this is a realistic thought, but just. But also, if you're going to break the law, break the law, but like, stop fucking robbing people, stop shooting people, Jesus fucking Christ, just stop. Just quit being fucking violent. But people are people, and everybody's different, and everybody's brains are different, and this is probably a good time to cut this off. We're over an hour in. Yeah.
Well,
it's supposed to be 20 minutes, but we'll do another one soon. Yeah. We'll see how.
Last thought, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
People are people, and most people just need food, shelter, water, love from other people. Mm-hmm. And if they got those things, I think a lot of other things would go away.
I would completely agree 100%.
Yeah. We agree.
Awesome. I love you. Thank you for doing this with me.
Yeah.
And we'll do another one soon.
Cheers.
Well, next time I see you, I probably won't see you for like, I don't know. I'll see you every 6 months or so. See you later, everybody. Say bye. We're going to go box more.